Testing. Hello, everyone. So I'm Bradley, CCO here at Insurtech Insights. First of all, thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you're having a good show so far. Today I'm joined, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sten, CEO of Zego. Can you introduce yourself, Sten?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting. I'm Sten. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Zego.
So we're going to be talking about the future, or Zego's vision, or Sten's vision for the future of mobility. But before we go into the future, we'd love to hear a little bit more about you as a person and the backstory of Zego, for those that don't know.
Sure. Zego is my fourth business. I started first business when I was 17, back in high school, making usual paper notepads that we all used to use or still use. Took it to 4 countries. By the time I was 21, I had a team of 22, made $1 million revenue, lost it all. Lost it multiple projects to the point where I asked my dad to take a mortgage out, give it to me. I invested in a project. 6 months later, I had no money, no project left. And then I was like, I want to build a great business. Where should I go where people speak English is closest? London, originally from Estonia, bought one-way ticket and moved here 2009. Tried to do the same here, did not work, just different school system. Ran out of money, then I did some sales. Wanted to grow the business more than the founder did. I thought that's the wrong place to be. Then I came across a company called One Fine Stay, which is like an expensive Airbnb, £1.5 to £2 million homes that we're servicing like hotel rooms. Had to hire 240 people in 2 weeks, just for a 3-week period. And then after 3.5 years there, joined Deliveroo, was there, and that's where the kind of found the problem of Deliveroo struggling to hire drivers. So we then looked under the hood, realized it's insurance, and then we started kind of solving the problem there. Now, when you look at my background, like, been building a bunch of businesses, no logic, stationery to outsourcing to hospitality to food delivery to insurance. What is a common denominator, though, is there's a major customer problem that needs to be solved through technology. And that's the bigger the problem, the more excited I am. In insurance, there are a lot of problems. So, yes.
Nice. What makes Zego different from other MGAs, insurers, insurtechs, how you want to refer to yourself out there?
Yeah, I think difference is a kind of a subjective. What I would say is like what we do for the customer. So ultimately, what we want to do is like very simply save a ton of money for our customers on insurance costs, especially when you think in commercial space. Insurance is a large part of a P&L, be it the self-employed driver, be it the commercial fleet. So what we really do is we use a driver behavioral data, telematics, to price. And if you're a great customer, you get kind of a 40% off in the self-employed world. If you're bad, we load you by like 40-50%. And in the commercial fleet space, the same story is like, if you buy a fleet policy, you get rebates if you've done well. If you're reporting on claims as well, if your loss ratio is good, then you're going to get cash back, right? And that's the ultimate kind of objective. We as a company, we operate 2 models. We've got an MGA. We also have our own insurance carrier. But we also partner with other carriers, so depending on a kind of a country and the setup and appetite for someone to give us capacity, we can vary that model.
Okay. And you've grown, I think, at one point to 600 people. So there's quite quick growth, and there's a lot of insurtech founders here who are aiming to do something similar. So before we go into the future, your vision for the future, what's the kind of biggest learning that the audience here can take away for like growing a company this quickly?
Oof, we could spend here a couple of hours. You turn it into a therapy session as well. Don't grow fast. We grew way too fast. Now we are around 400 people, so we had to make some tough decisions last year. But you just, when it was like grow, that you kind of overall, it just didn't add up, especially insurance. So smaller team now, still 400. But the kind of a key focus for us is like achieve profitability on one side of the business, and the other side grow sustainably. And if you're selling £10 policy for when it costs you £12, the more you do it, the worse it gets. Whereas we've actually been very effective materially improving loss ratios. Several books of business are highly profitable. But the key thing is like just make sure you have a good value proposition for a customer that genuinely solves the problems. And then there's a bunch of back office problems that you just have to solve. But like everyone's going to tell you no, everyone's going to tell you you can't do it. Funny enough, when we started with Zego, we came up with an idea whereby, Deliveroo can't hire drivers. Let's come up with a solution whereby we sell insurance by the hour. We told all the friends and non-insurance people, they said it makes complete sense, absolutely. We told lots of insurance people, they said it makes no sense. And but guess what? We built a product that is where every second food delivery that you ordered today in the UK is insured by Zego, and it's a profitable book.
Congrats. So I'm going to ask a big question now, but guys, if anyone wants to ask questions for Sten, feel free to use Slido. So what will the world, so I know you've released the 2040 vision, right? What will the world look like? It's not just about mobility, I think, the world in general in 2040.
Yes, so insurance generally is, as we all know, like when you go to social groups, depends who our friends are. If they're not insurance, and if you say you're in insurance, they roll their eyes or they want to talk about something else. So we wanted to make sure that actually, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about where it's going to go, and then see what is the insurance role there. The way I think about insurance in the future that's being enabled is like, insurance is like a microchip in your mobile phone. If there is no microchip, that hardware just does not work, right? And if there is no great insurance solutions out there for evolving mobility, then they never come to life. 2040, and you could debate whether it's 10 years, 17 years, or like 27 years, but in our view, it's going to be completely autonomous. Like, if you want to drive your car, there's a little kind of a racetrack where you can go and drive your car, but otherwise, it's autonomous. What will mean is the vehicle types change, By the way, if you want to kind of see some of that, we've got some lovely photos. If you go zego.com/2040, you can see some great photos. Vehicle types will be different. Will be one-person pod where you stand in. There'll be two-person vehicles. The vehicles will be literally stacked next to each other with 1 feet apart, and they move at that kind of a pace. There will be many more different mobility types, like compared to e-scooters, like many modes, from one person to multiple individuals. That's how the world will look like. It's pretty hard to believe today that it can be like this, but it'll be much cleaner, significantly safer. I would bet in that world there are no deaths in traffic. There will be no accidents, and it's an incredible kind of a place to be. Now, again, someone might say that, Sten, you're smoking something because we're so far away, but it's happening, whether we like it or not. Whether it happens in 10 years, 17 years, by 2040 or 2050, it will happen, right? I think the key thing for us all to focus on is the transition. Because today there are 10 vehicles being driven by individuals in the street. At some point, there's going to be 9, 8, 7, 5, and then 5 are autonomous and 5 are not. I think this is the most messiest part. How do we actually manage the transition? Because today, we essentially evaluate, traditionally, still a lot of auto insurance is evaluated based on static factors, A 25-year-old in London versus 25-year-old in Yorkshire, they pay a huge price difference, but the risk actually could be 2x difference. One fun fact for you, what we found out is 35-year-olds and less are less riskier than 50-year-old plus in one customer segments we have, right?
Is that because we go blind?
I don't know what happens there, but perceptionally, traditionally, you price them that young drivers more, right? But actually, when you look at the driver behavior, which is true indicator of risk, it's different. So in that world, you have to take into account two types of risk, i.e. driver behavior on a road and autonomous vehicle. Autonomous vehicle risk is cyber risk. Will it be actually attacked? Then it'll be hardware risk. Will that hardware break? And then it'll be software risk in case that crashes, right? Nothing to do with traditional rating factors. And if you are in a transitionary world, how do you take both into account? Like, let's say there's a fleet of vehicles whereby fleet of 10 vehicles, 9 are driven by drivers, 1 is autonomous. From a fleet insurance point of view, you have to take into account both risks. Today, cyber insurance teams hardly speak to motor teams. So they have to actually now start to come together and like, how are we going to start to take that into account? So, I think the transitionary period is the critical one, the kind of absolute of like everyone driving versus 100% autonomous. They are pretty clean, easy to understand. And I think the transition is something that we need to focus on as an industry. You know, we have a vision, whether it'll be different or not. Zego will play a kind of tiny part in all of making sure we get to the place of like 0 accidents. Everyone in this room, in the industry, needs to play a part. We capture 3.5 million at the moment, 3.5 million miles a day. That is 140 times around the Earth every single day. So you have to take into account a lot of data to be able to process that data. Autonomous vehicles will give you a lot of data, camera data, just sensor data. You have to mix it together to then evaluate those risks and develop those relevant risk models from there. So in that sense, I think it's going to be incredibly exciting future. Clean, no accidents, way more enjoyable. Your commutes turn into working spending with your family on the phone or doing work or just enjoying whatever activity you like. I think we all should play a part. Without insurance, we won't get there. We have to put the value propositions in play to enable that.
I have no idea how you even go around. Like, where do you think, where to start to think in terms of pricing and underwriting? It's a completely different risk. And who's liable at the end of the day? Is it the programmers? Is it, what's the biggest challenge you found in this side of things, like pricing and these new type of risks?
You mean today's world?
So it's gone from the drivers you're insuring to the manufacturers, I imagine, and
There's in this kind of transitional world, there is a question like then who's liable, right? So I think it's a combination of regulatory decisions and willingness to kind of someone who's going to take on the risk. It's if you buy an iPhone today, there's a clear kind of understanding who's liable for if a hardware breaks or software breaks, right? And we need to get the same place in future autonomous vehicles. And I think it's still TBD. Some OEMs are experimenting with it. Then it's like, is the operator of that kind of a fleet, or is it an individual? Some countries, governments want it to be an individual. So I think it still needs to be debated out. Regardless, risk exists. It has to be priced. But what I definitely do see a world move away from personal lines to commercial lines, because they'll be all mostly operated by operators or so individuals won't be buying a car. Like, you don't buy music anymore. So you just like Spotify subscription any moment. You're going to have fleets of like dozens of different vehicle types for you kind of accessible. So
what else is going to happen in the future? We've got the autonomous cars and fleets. Are there any other crazy ideas and thoughts you might have about what's coming?
One thing I've not figured out yet about 2040, so maybe you guys can help, is like, what will happen to consoles on cities' income? Because in that world, there's no vehicle that's going to be parked. They're going to be circulating around all the time, picking people up. So there's no parking income or like parking fine income, right? And I don't know how you then kind of solve that. And the second one is like, in that world, humans know that the autonomous vehicle will never hit them, right? They just recognize stop. Now imagine everyone crosses the road wherever they like. That means no traffic actually will flow then. How do you then solve that problem? Are you going to take the parking fines and just start charging pedestrians if they cross the road at the wrong place? So there's a few of those kind of, in my head, unanswered questions. I'm sure there's many more. The other thing is like, well, we need to reconfigure a bunch of like road infrastructure as well. Not for the purposes of the vehicle, but just to kind of give more space for the pedestrians.
Do you think there could be a world where nobody owns cars anymore? We don't drive most of the time, right? It's parked up, you go to work, you leave it. Can there be a world where it's completely, no one owns any cars?
100%. Like in that 100% autonomous world, you can't own a vehicle, right? Because it'll be operated by someone, and again, you can own it, and then you can take it on a trailer to a racetrack and go and have fun there, right? It reverses completely in that sense, and then you can go and look at those cars you used to drive at the kind of London or like whatever fossil fuel museum, and see how all of your cars will be there probably in 17 years' time. Yeah, so...
We've got a few questions from Slido. I saw that we had 5 or so minutes remaining.
Sure.
Feel free to upvote if there's questions on Slido that anyone wants answered. So will driver distraction, video solutions, and data points be used to price, i.e. driver on mobile phone before a harsh break happens, the hidden risk?
Yeah, totally. I think the problem with video data is, and we've explored that as well, it's just like 100 times more data, and it costs to process it, at the moment at least. I do think over the next 5 to 7 years, the cost of video data will become equivalent to like telematics data costs. And then you take that into account, absolutely, yes. I'll give you a basic example where you can take it to many places, like what we're doing, just kind of we played with it and now we started properly do it, is fraud through telematics. So we found out kind of from a usual databases where are the kind of usual suspected fraud offices that kind of orchestrate motor fraud. And what we did is like we captured telematics data and we plotted those locations on our driver telematics data. And we looked who's visited those offices. And without them already starting to do potentially fraud, we are kind of preemptively looking into how we can kind of manage that, right? Now, take into video, we can start processing that even earlier. Like you can see based on, because the road condition today and yesterday and tomorrow will vary pretty significantly from day to day and time of day. So video data will definitely help to make a lot more sophisticated decisions. If it rains in London, like it only might rain in one part of the London, and then video data will give you way more accurate kind of information in that sense, for example. So there's many possibilities around that I'm like kind of spitballing here a bit.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. So we've got 2 minutes, and I got a lot of questions, so thank you guys. Can you elaborate further on the pricing of car insurance, i.e. what do you use to give 40% discount to one customer and another minus 40%? Yeah,
so that's predominantly the driver behavior. So the way we build the pricing is like normal, your base price and then the kind of static factors, and then we also add on top new rating factors. And our biggest kind of indicator of risk is the telematics driver risk. And that's where we essentially load. And we are very confident and bullish. I want to get to the point where actually telematics or driver behavior is 80-90% of the overall price itself. But we need to work with our insurance partners, our actuaries, reinsurers, and others to kind of prove those points. And it's fascinating, it's like even like it drives incredible behavior. So when you look at the best drivers, our retention rate is like 95%. Our worst drivers is like 20. So we practically churn out bad drivers. They're all going to end up in the normal market, and hopefully as we kind of go through the cycle, we find good drivers, keep them, we give the good drivers the best rate, and the worst drivers just end up in the market, which then forces that everyone else has to, because their loss ratios will get worse and worse, they have to kind of increase the rate throughout. But that's the kind of today main rating factor. We're also using, we integrate with Deliveroo, Uber Eats, a bunch of others. So we use their score that you give, like how was your delivery. That's also pretty indicative of risk. And we also use time of day, for example, as well. At nighttime, you're going to have a lot more higher speeds, more bodily injuries than it is during rush hours. So
I've got a lot more questions for you, but I see time is up. So finally, is there like one key takeaway that you want the audience, like a nugget of information, advice for everyone in the room?
Yeah, I think insurance has a key role to play. We are the microchip of the future evolution for ourselves, for our kids, our grandkids, right? And it's our duty, really, to kind of build great solutions for the generations to come. So I'd encourage all of you to be curious, to understand where the world is moving and find the new solutions. Don't go from a point of view like why it can't be done. Go from a point of view what and how it could be done. Because I will drive that agenda and push as much as we can with Zego. But even if you take it, the largest insurance companies around the world, they're worth like hundreds of billions and so forth. So it is an industry effort. It's not a one company effort. So be curious and find a way how to say yes, not no, and you'll surprise yourself.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you coming along, Sten. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.